Okay, everybody, thanks for coming. My name's Jeff Gibby. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off today. Welcome. We usually, it's good to have you here. We have a very special guest today, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about him and let him talk. He's somebody that I've been aware of in the industry for a very long time. And I'm glad we're kind of getting some MetaStock support for the indicators. They look awesome. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to what we need to do. Today's presentation is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Thomson Reuters shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Okay, so there we go. Bennett McDowell. Oh, wow. Nice guy. Very, very good technician, and has some really, really cool indicators to show to us today. I've been aware of him in the industry for quite some time, and he's been on my bucket list of getting his methods into MetaStock. So we're really, really happy that that we've brought him around, and that we do have his indicators and his methods and his functions in MetaStock. Bennett, I'm going to have you come in and give us a little talk.
Okay, Jeff, thank you so much. Thanks for the nice introduction. It's great to be here. I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. We're going to talk about a couple of indicators, and I'm going to do a little bit of a PowerPoint, Jeff, and then I'm going to change over to the actual MetaStock platform and look at some live charts using the indicators we're going to talk about today. So the idea here is to basically give you a little bit of theory and then show you the practicality of the approach. Now, let me see, Jeff, on changing the slides. Okay, you got me on books. Okay, we also have a new book coming out on the Elliott Wave in the fall, and this one is going to be published by McGraw-Hill. This book here is going to focus on basically a modern approach combined with a classical approach of the wave theory. So I'm really excited about this book. We're putting the final touches on it right now, and it will be available very, very shortly in the fall to early winter. And Jeff also covered a few disclaimers for our webinar, and I think it's just important to note again that there is risk in trading, but you know, without that risk, there's no opportunity. So the two really go hand in hand. And the important thing is to trade with money you can afford to risk. So many people don't do that. And then, of course, they become emotional traders because they become so attached to the money that they actually have in the markets. And then, of course, they make bad decisions. So you don't want to do that. All right, so we're going to talk about stacking the deck in your favor. And we're going to talk about two indicators that we have just developed for the MetaStock platform called the PTF and OWL indicators. PTF stands for Precision Trend Filter. OWL stands for Optimum Wave Locator. And the neat thing about these indicators is that they can be used in conjunction with your current trading system or set of trading rules. So, for example, if you're a day trader and you have an approach, these two indicators that we're going to show you today sit right on the bottom of the chart and can be used as great filters in order to help you decide which signals have the highest probability of doing well. So I'm going to show you how that works and how we use them, so you'll have a good idea by the end of the presentation of exactly how they work and how they can aid you. Let's talk about the PTF first. And on the PTF, it sits at the bottom of your charts, and it colors the indicator either in a green or yellow color or a red color. Now on this, we're looking at an uptrend on this chart. And on this uptrend here, basically it's showing that on the far left-hand side, a price bar created the oscillator inside the PTF indicator to breach a horizontal upper band that you can actually see where it passed through. We circled that in red right on the left-hand side of this chart here. And notice it corresponds to the price bar we circled as well. So when that occurs, when that oscillator goes above the upper horizontal line, what that does is it turns the background of this indicator a green color. And what it means is when it's green, you find the price bar, the most recent price bar, where the band penetrated the upper band, and it means basically there's a 75% probability that prices will return and go higher. Now you may get a brief pullback, but this is great information to know because it usually suggests that you're not getting a change in trend on the pullback, but you're just getting a brief correction in the overall trend. And if you have a green color, it indicates, of course, that the trend is still going to the upside and we should make one more high. Notice as the prices meandered off to the right-hand side, they stayed a little bit in a channel, but the indicator still remained green. And again, if that can be a great comfort zone for you, because if you are long this market and now you're getting a little bit undecided as the market hasn't really trended yet, that green color can keep you in the market and keep your system and your emotions aligned to the long side. And so then the market moves up, and notice the indicator turns yellow, and it did so when prices actually breached the previous high that it was supposed to go above. And so it indicates now it did that, the momentum's come up, and then the momentum resurged and turned the indicator green once again, indicating another 75% probability that we were going back to the upside. So during uptrends like this, you usually see either a green or a yellow color. Yellow basically just means neutral, but it does not mean necessarily a change in trend. And so we don't have any red color in the indicator, so we don't have any bearish trend indications here. So everything continues to be either green or yellow. And notice prices backed up and went higher. The indicator turned yellow. More momentum came into the market. Look, we had a gap up here, turned the indicator green. Notice these in circles where the oscillator once again went above the bands, and it continued on higher. Now we've got a pullback on the right-hand side of the chart, indicating that it is just a pullback because the indicator is green. Now again, I want you to think there at home, because if you had seen a sharp pullback like we had gotten on the right-hand side of the chart, you may be inclined to think that the trend was changing, and that would cause you perhaps to look for a short trade or even exit all your long trades way before you probably should. And so the indicator remaining green is an indication that the trend to the upside is not over yet. And so prices should return and make a new high. And of course, now you can see they're starting back to the upside again on the right-hand side. So that's the PTF indicator. Extremely easy to use. Let's go on and take a look at a couple more examples. And here's one actually where I think we had on Apple, and I'm going to show you Apple a little later, but here's where we had an uptrend, and notice the indicator did not turn red until we began a bearish downtrend. Here's one on a market where it really was nice to know this. We had reached a tremendous sell-off. We had a hyperbolic move down to the bottom. It reached the bottom. The market started rebounding from that. So at this particular point, as a trend trader to the downside, it was nice to have the PTF tell us in a red color that there was a 75% probability that the low we've circled on this slide, on this chart, okay, should be penetrated by more lows. Knowing that, it gives us a lot of information in order to know whether we should be looking for long trades or staying with the trend. And again, it can be used with a lot of different types of trading approaches depending on, you know, if you're a day trader or position trader, it really doesn't matter because the PTF works on all time frames, all markets, Forex, etc. Now let's take a look at our other indicator called the Optimum Wave Locator. If anybody has any questions, okay, on the PTF or the OWL at any time, feel free to ask, and we will, of course, answer those. I see a question from STC. How did you get the 75% probability? It was tested over many trades, couple hundred, 500 trades. We've even had our students test it for us to verify it, and the 75% probability is what it comes up. You may get 74, you may get 76, but as an average, it came out to about 75%. All right, so now we can move on to the optimum wave locator called the OWL indicator. And on the OWL indicator, what we're doing with the OWL indicator is it's helping identify trends versus corrections, kind of like the PTF, but it gives us a little bit different of an approach to it because what we're looking at and counting on is basically looking at this from the Elliott Wave prospectus. And in the Elliott Wave prospectus, basically a trend has 5 waves in it. And so the OWL will immediately identify a wave 3. And from there, we'll be able to count when a wave 4 should occur and a wave 5. And I'm going to show you this on PowerPoint, and then we're going to go look at some live markets today. And also, too, what I want to do here is if you have any markets you would like me to look at, be thinking of what you would like me to look at and just type the symbol in the chat area and we'll bring it up. Now, also just know on MetaStock, normally if it's a regular New York Stock Exchange symbol, that's easy. You just can put in IPM, for example, or something. If it's a NASDAQ symbol, it's going to be AMAT.0, okay, or O, letter O. So give me the entire symbol if you can, if it's not an ordinary symbol that has the prefixes for the market. Like the Euro USD, you've got to give me the entire bill. You've got to give me what the symbol is for the MetaStock platform because I don't want to take the time to look up all the symbols, okay? Same thing with Bill right there. Like Bruce Perfect, INM.V. That's what I need, okay? So be thinking about that and take a look at that and we'll look those up. All right, OWL indicator. Here's an example of what it looks like at the bottom of your chart. Notice the histogram itself is either above or below what we call a 0 line, which runs right smack in the middle of the oscillator. And that, of course, is a horizontal line. So the histogram is either above the 0 line or below it. When it's above, we call it positive. When it's below, it's negative. And it puts either a pink dot or a line on the actual histogram that is considered the wave 3 histogram on the current trend. And so on bullish trends, for the most part, you will have, on a wave 3, you will have a very high level histogram, either to the upside or to the downside, okay? So we'll take a look at these, and wave 3 is usually followed by a wave 4, of course, and a wave 4 has to be a negative OWL, so that has to be below the 0 line. Also, too, the nice thing about the OWL is when it identifies a wave 4, and you have a wave 3, and you have a wave 4, followed by another high of a wave 5, you will always have bearish divergence between the wave 5 and the wave 3 in terms of the OWL histogram in relationship to the actual price. So in this example on this chart here, we're seeing higher highs in price, but the OWL histogram on the most recent high has a lower value than it did during wave 3. This is what we expect, and therefore we expect bearish divergence because according to Elliott Wave at the end of wave 5, all right, we expect a change in trend. Here's how they look on the MetaStock platform. They're very clear. Notice the large black vertical line on the OWL. This indicates wave 3. This happens to be forward. We're going to take a look at that as well. And I think probably at this time, why don't we go ahead and take a look. Let me just go through the slides a couple more. Here's Apple. We can take a look at Apple too. This is Apple quite a while ago, and it was just beginning its downtrend and going into a wave 3. And according to the OWL, it was changing the trend at that point. Now I'm going to put we're going to do a special offer today for everybody, and I'm just going to put the link up there so you can bookmark that at a later time. And while you're doing that, I'm going to switch over to some live charts. So give me just one quick second to get all set up here. And now at this point, you should be able to see the live charts. Now, Jeff, I seem to have lost the ability to see everybody's chat at this time. I don't know why that would be, but it seemed like they disappeared when I switched out of that one module into the other. New comments will come in here. Okay, so I guess it will come up in the new chat. And Jeff, you can see the chart okay, so everybody should be okay, right? Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, this is a stock called AMR Corp, and the actual symbol is AAMRQ.PK. This is one we've been following for quite some time, and we run a service, a stock picking service. And the stock picking service, basically what we do is we scan technically for setups, and then we go ahead and apply indicators and so forth to it to see if the probability is there for a decent trend or not. And what happened on this one, notice that we had a green owl over here in November, between November and December. And it occurred on this what appears right now to be a small spike up at that time. Actually, before the larger trend unfolded, that spike up was quite large because this was a very inexpensive stock. And it created a green colored PTF. We also started to get a green colored owl sitting right below it. And that hadn't happened in quite some time. So this was kind of a connecting of the dots scenario. We had a green PTF and a bullish green owl emerging at a point when it had been, this particular stock had been stagnant for many, many months. And the other thing we use is our trading approach was starting to generate some entry signals, and I'm sure yours would have too. So when we started using all the filters and connecting the dots, it looked like a good time to get into the market. The market began to pull up and the PTF remained green. We saw no more red, and the owl started getting quite large, especially in relationship, okay, to how it was before, okay? And I'm getting a note here to put the offer link back up into this area here, so I'll go ahead and do that. All right, hopefully I did that okay. And so basically this trend has emerged, and it is continuing to this day. Two important things. One is we've had a pullback recently on it, and notice the PTF remains green. So we know that the trend is not over. We do know, based on the owl below, that we're in right smack in a wave 3. The indicator is at its highest level at this point. And notice that we are getting a pullback in the indicator. So we may be getting ready to go into a wave 4. We may have a correction here, but not a change in trend. And so that's really important to note. Now, if your trading system, either based on trend line exits, etc., has taken you out of the market, well, then, of course, you can get out, okay, but look to get back in when the correction is over. So this is how we can use this in a very helpful way during changes in what we perceive in price in terms of correction, and then noting whether it is just a correction or a change in trend, and in this case, it is just a correction. And that may cause some of you to move your stops a little further away so you can stay in or hang into the trend during the correction. So maybe a point you'd want to move your stop down, maybe you'd scale out of some positions, all right, and then put your stop down at a point way down in here. This is a very cheap stock, so we, have ridden this thing up from, basically 75 cents all the way up to about $6. So you made a fortune on this, and you may not want to give back that much to put your stop here, but that's a decision that your actual trading system or approach in conjunction with risk control will solve for you. The indicators below are merely giving you an indication of whether the trend is over or not. And they are saying it is not over. Let's go to another one. Let's go to Ford. And give that a second to load. All right, on Ford here, we got a little bit different scenario here. What we've had is a change in trend from this position up. We now have a green PTF. We have a wave 3 here. But then we had a nice correction here, an ABC correction. And then we resumed the uptrend back up again. So basically, what we had here is 3, 4, and 5. Now, if you know Elliott Wave at all, you know wave 4 will usually end around 0.382 to 618 Fib retracement. So let's see if this wave 4 did that. So we can go to the left-hand side on MetaStock, grab the Fib retracements. What I usually do is do it from the bottom of 2 all the way up to the top of 3. Okay, and you can see that this retracement retraced between 38.2 and 50%. So the minimum requirements were met for a Fibonacci wave 4 retracement. The OWL then began to head positive, and then we had a wave 2 pullback on the 5 waves inside wave 5, and then finally the resurgence of wave 3. So basically we are in wave 5, we're probably in wave 3 of 5, getting ready to go into a minor wave 4, and then a final wave up on Ford. And if you notice here, we have a strong bullish OWL representing wave 5. We have bearish divergence between the top of the OWL here and the top of the OWL at wave 3. So that's what we expect for a wave 5. We still have a green PTF at this point, so we are expecting more highs. So that's another confirmation that wave 5 is not over. We haven't had a top to this trend yet. So this kind of information can be very helpful in deciding when to scale out or when to move your stops up tighter. So for example, if we had had a green PTF, not a green PTF, a yellow PTF rather than a green one, then we may want to start ratcheting our stops up a little bit. All right. If we have a green PTF, we might want to keep our stops a little bit more lenient because after this brief pullback, we expect more highs. If the PTF turned to red, then we want to really ratchet our stops up tight, okay, and start taking profits. And then if the OWL remains above the 0 line and remains bullish, which it is now, all right, then of course we are still in wave 5. Once that OWL goes negative and the PTF turns either to red or a yellow, then we want to be aware that we may be changing trend. All right, so that's Ford. Let's take a quick look at Netflix. Okay, on Netflix here, we had a wave 3 here, all right? And then we had a 4, and we had a 5. And again, very similar to Ford, we're seeing a little pullback in Netflix, but we're not seeing the PTF turn to yellow or red yet. So it's still green, meaning that we expect more highs. We still have a bullish or positive OWL at the bottom, and we have bearish divergence between this OWL and this one. So that's to be expected. So we're in wave 5 on Netflix right now. So we still got some more room up, but the next move to the upside, we have to be very careful because we're getting close to a top of a major move to the upside that we've experienced in Netflix for quite some time. And we also use the OWL to help us identify this area here as a bottom. We had a major move down, as you can see on the right-hand side here, okay, on Netflix. Okay, look at this major move to the left. And we had a 4, and then finally a 5 that ended down here with very, very strong bullish divergence. So this was an ABC wave 4, bearish wave 4 correction. And then we had a bearish wave 5 take us down to the bottom. So we knew at the end of basically the middle of the summer, at the end of wave 5, we were looking for a reason to go long, and we finally got one when we broke above this resistance area here, and we were off and running with a bullish OWL indicator at the time. All right, let's move on to another one. Symbol is MFLX. Sounds like Netflix, but it's not. It's multi-fine line. And this one here, what we like about this one here, and you may want to put this one on a watch list there at home, is what we see here is we've got a bearish 3 here. We had a 4 here. We have a meandering 5 over here. That's still kind of not quite done, but we are starting to see the OWL go bullish. So when I see something like this, what I like to do is I like to take a look at some different resistance levels. Now I have my line right there, and that's indicating an area where it kind of marks the top or resistance area of a little bit of an oscillating channel that we're seeing towards the bottom of this sell-off. So I want prices to get above that before I even consider a long position. If you want to be a little more conservative, then wait for prices to break above here. Okay, move it back up to the next level. All right, but basically what we're seeing here is some really tremendous opportunity for a change in trend to the upside. I would go long on a yellow PTF as long as it's not red. You don't want to go long until it turns yellow. Okay, you don't want to go long until we see wave 5. Okay, end and the oscillator starting to go positive. All right, and I would expect this to break out to the upside probably fairly soon. Okay, sometimes these can base for a little bit of time. That's why you don't want to be too eager to get in. But if you get in at either one of these levels that I'm talking about here or here, you're going to have plenty of profit opportunity because this will represent a new trend to the upside. And this one again here is MFLX. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Give this a second to load. Okay, so on Microsoft, what we had going on here, obviously, is now a new move to the upside. Notice here that we had a high, and the OWL is bullish, indicating we're in a wave 3 right now. The PTF is still green, so we got more highs to go. So this is a little different scenario than some of the other markets like Ford we looked at, because in Ford, all right, we had a 3, we had a major wave 4 correction, and then we were in 5. In this one, we're still in 3. Okay, we're starting to see bearish divergence build inside the OWL wave 3 histogram, but we're still in wave 3. So after this ends, you're going to have a correction, a Fib retracement of around 31.2 to 61.8, and then we'll have a wave 5 come back. So if you were thinking about getting into this market, I'd say it's a little too late to get in. You should have been in already. If you're in it now, we think we're going to have some more highs here coming. So we have a green PTF, all right, and we're starting just to see a little bearish divergence build inside 3. So at this particular point, we haven't had enough of a correction to really indicate any type of wave 3 ending at this point. And so all direction is still pointing to higher highs here on Microsoft. And again, this can help you in whatever, assist you in whatever trading approach you're using, just to give you a little bit of an extra filter to decide how you want to hang into the trade or not. Okay. All right, now I'm getting a question from STC. Is it a function with version 10? When you say version 10, you mean MetaStock version 10? Will it work with MetaStock version 10? Okay. Yeah, I mean, what we'll do is, we'll take a look at the 10 version and make sure it works for that. If any updates have to be done, we just do them. All right, let me take a look. I don't have any of the symbols that I was looking at the previous screen. So why don't you type me in some symbols? Again, if you could do me a favor and type in ones so I don't have to go through the symbol lookup, I would appreciate that. Okay, SPY. Now, how do you do that on the MetaStock STC? Is it SPY dot something, or is it just SPY? Okay, so SPY, just for the spider. Okay. All right, good. All right, so on SPY, we've been in a long trend for quite some time. All right. What we had here, notice the OWL histogram on the right-hand side, all right, is the highest histogram. That's the lower indicator, by the way, is the highest histogram we've seen in this run-up. So that means we're in wave 3. We're not in wave 5. All right. Some folks would have looked at this and thought, okay, maybe a 3 here, 4 and 5 here, but not the case, because this histogram is the highest. And so it would label this entire move really from here all the way to here as a wave 3. All right. So we have a green PTF that just went yellow. So now we're probably going to get a little bit of a pullback. We're in a neutral area. All right, it doesn't mean the trend's over. Just means for right now the PTF is neutral. We'll have to see how the resurgence on the next bullish impulse on this trend, if it can create another green colored PTF or not. All right, probably will. But really you haven't pulled back much on the OWL histogram down there, so you're still in wave 3. I mean, if you drew a trend line from here, for example, all the way down to, well, let's see if I can get this. Well, I'm going to delete that. That's a Gann line. Okay. So anyway, if you drew a trend line from here, connecting here to here, you would still see prices are well above the trend line. So you're still in an uptrend. Okay. So that's what we're seeing on that one. All right, let's take another one, FXE. Okay, on FXE, thank you for giving me the correct symbols, guys, on that. That helps a lot. Okay, so on this one here, what we've had here is we had a 3 back here, an ABC correction here, and a 5. All right, notice that you had 3. This would have been 3 here. This would have been 4, and this would have been 5. Notice the bearish divergence between here and here. So this is 3, 4, 5. So now we're getting ready for a change in trend. We have a new 1, 2, 3. We're in 4, okay, and we're probably going to go down a little bit more on wave 5, okay. So basically, at this particular point, we should see prices bottom. The overall trend is indicating still that we may get higher highs based off the PTF, but this trend has changed right now according to the OWL. All right, so basically, at this particular point, what we're seeing is we're seeing a new wave 5 to the downside, and then it probably will be an ABC major correction with higher highs after that. All right, so a little more downside, then I expect it to find some form of support, and then we will probably move up higher off that. All right, and that is the euro. SLW. Okay, SLW here is indicating we're in a smack in the middle of a 3. All right, we're still in 3. This would be where my cursor is here. These prices are lowest in the previous low, and the OWL histogram is still negative. So this so far is the bottom of 3, where my arrow is. Now, if prices sell off from here and make more lows before the OWL goes above the 0 line, then that next low will still be part of wave 3. However, if prices rebound from here and go to the upside and the OWL goes above the 0 line, then we're in wave 4. Then we can draw our Fib retracements and expect a profit or a retracement zone for more selling to come back in for wave 5 at that point. All right, so that's a good one. That's silver. All right, so, okay, SPYs, okay, thank you. All right, Apple. let's see. Oh yeah, no, I don't need the O off that one. Okay. There we go. Okay, on Apple here, we got a little different scenario. We got wave 3 over here. Okay, notice that now we're starting to get a bullish histogram. All right, this retracement here was nowhere near high enough based off Fibonacci retracements for that to be a wave 4. So that was actually a major wave 4. That was actually a wave 4 inside a wave 3. So this is the wave 3 bottom here, and I think right now we're probably going to go into a wave 4 correction. We're already in it because at this point here, it looks like the OWL's getting high enough to indicate that we're having some more pressure to the upside, more momentum coming in, which is what we usually see during a wave 4, and it's still positive. The OWL's still above the 0 line here. So we can expect a Fib retracement level coming up on this. And at this particular point, if we take our Fib retracements here and run them something like from here to here, we're looking at a retracement level anywhere from around 500 up to around 550, 570. Okay, and then we should expect to see wave 5, bearish wave 5, to come back in. So basically what we're seeing is bullish divergence building inside wave 3. We did not have a high enough wave 4 here, so we should expect to see some pressure to the upside, driving it up into a major wave 4 on this one. All right, well, I think it was fun to take a look at a few charts. I think it's always good to do that. Also note on the right-hand side, you can see the expert commentary. This is both for the OWL, we have it for the OWL and the PTF. So it tells you how to use them, and it tells you if they're bullish and if wave 3 is bearish. Okay, so it's very helpful there. I'm going to switch back over now to the other slides. Give those a second to load, and talk a little bit about the special that we have for you. The special, basically what we're doing is we have a special on the OWL and PTF for MetaStock users. And so this is one we're doing for basically the MetaStock folks only. And it's 30% off if you buy the OWL, 30% off if you buy the PTF. If you buy both, we're going to give you 50% off. So if you go to that link in the chat area and take a look at that, you can bookmark it and place your orders right through there. And these studies are available right now. So basically we will send you an order confirmation, and you'll have a username and password and a link to the download area where you can go and download these and install them. You also get 30 days of what we call Platinum Care, where if you want us to install it for you remotely, we can do that and get you all set up. So it's up to you. So that's available for you, and that's going to be, we're probably going to keep that special active for a few days here. So you can decide to make up your mind, but you will have to make up your mind before a week is out, okay? And finally, I just want to thank everybody for attending, and I want to thank Jeff and the folks at MetaStock for having me. We're excited to be part of the team. And if you have any questions, just feel free to email us. I'm going to put up our information to contact us. Okay, and Bill, the dollar amount is right. If you click on that special page, it'll talk to you all about the pricing and so forth. Okay, so all the dollar amount is on that specials page. Click on there and then click on the forms, and you can see. Any questions left before we depart here? Okay, well then I think we're in good shape. Once again, thanks everybody for attending. Jeff, thanks for having me. And folks, we'll see you here again next time. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bennett, thanks a lot. It was great to have you in here. I would personally recommend you take a look at kind of the add-ons. I've actually kind of taken a look at it, and I really like the way that it's implemented. It's solid. If you have any questions, let us know. Thanks for coming today.